Today we're going to talk about Senseonics. I've had a number of requests for a review of their company and their products. All right, if you're not familiar with Senseonics, they make continuous glucose monitors. You may see the abbreviation CGM. A continuous glucose monitor is an implantable device that sits just under a patient's skin and monitors their glucose. Now, it doesn't actually do blood glucose. It measures the amount of glucose within the interstitial fluid, which is the fluid that sort of bathes cells. Now, the thing that makes Senseonics product unique is that it is fully implantable currently for 90 days within the United States. The way it works is this little sensor here is implanted under a patient's skin. Then this little transmitter sits on top of that, connected by an adhesive device. And that transmitter through Bluetooth can send the information to a patient's smart device. This device is implanted by a medical provider who has been trained in the insertion of the device. Here's just a basic of the procedure. They make an incision. It's only about 5 millimeters. They use a special device that they will then slide through that incision under the skin to create a little pocket. And then the device is then placed into that little pocket. They close it by just putting some steri strips over the skin, little tiny, very sticky pieces of paper. Those steri strips usually just fall off by themselves after about 7 to 10 days. That's it. That's how it's done. The removal is just the opposite of that, and then a new device could be implanted. This device has not been quite as popular as one might have hoped. I think reasons for that are, one, it does require a procedure, and it's every 90 days, so you're looking at 4 times a year. 2, a patient still has to poke their finger with a lancet and measure their actual glucose on a glucometer twice a day with this device. That is to make sure that the calibration of the device is accurate. The third reason I think that this has not been as popular is that, like most things in medicine, if they're not reimbursable or if they're not covered by medical insurance, then patients are likely not to have it done. So let's talk about what Senseonics has been doing to improve some of those conditions. So the solution to the first problem being having a procedure every 90 days to implant a new device, Senseonics has come up with the EVERSENSE 180, which now will last for 180 days, so now you're looking at a procedure twice a year. The second problem had to do with the number of calibrations that were still required with the 90-day device. That number of calibrations or finger sticks goes down to once a day with the new EVERSENSE 180 device, so that you're looking at half the number of finger sticks required. The third one had to do with MEDICARE reimbursement and health insurance company reimbursement. They have steadily been receiving permission from health insurance companies to cover this item for their patients. And just recently, they now will have Medicare reimbursement. Not only that, but there is a CPT code. Now, a CPT code is a procedure code that allows a doctor or a healthcare provider to bill for a procedure. So that will cover the insertion of this device. Not only that, but the device itself is now covered under CPT codes rather than under durable medical equipment. So they're looking at better reimbursement for their patients if they choose to have this device implanted. Now, 2020 was not a stellar year for this company. Their revenue declined and their losses increased. For the 9 months ending September 30, compared to 2019 to 2020, we're looking at $761,000 in revenue versus $3.6 million in revenue in 2019. So that is quite a huge decline. Now, their losses did actually get a little bit better. They went from $79 million to $73 million of net loss. In their SEC filing, they talk about the reasons for their decreased revenue. They felt a lot of that had to do with COVID-19, not only the shutdown that occurred in the spring of last year, but also a decreased number of devices being implanted, perhaps because patients were more reluctant to go see a medical provider during this time. Now, I think I see a decent increase in their revenue and thus probably their share price if this device is approved in the United States. I don't see any reason why it won't be, knowing that it's already approved for use in multiple other markets around the world. Where I think the company stands to make a sizable increase is in 2023 when their EVERSENSE 365 device comes out. Now that device is going to be different than their current device and the 180 device in a number of ways. The implantable device will have a double chamber that will have two sensors within it. These sensors work on fluorescence, and those two sensors will be more helpful in making sure that when you get two results, making sure if the two results agree, then the calibration is going to be more likely correct. Thus, this device will only require a fingerstick calibration once per week, and it will. This is designed to last for 365 days, so only going back once a year to have the device changed rather than 4 times or 2 times a year. I won't go into the details of this slide, but essentially you can look at this and know that there is promising data regarding this device over a 12-month period. Now in 2024 is when their device really gets interesting and may really take off. In 2024 they're planning on the Freedom system. This again includes an implantable device that will sit just under the skin, but this time it will be attached to an implantable battery as well. Now you may be thinking, oh my goodness, I don't want to have a battery under my skin. But this technology has been in use for years and years with pacemaker devices. In fact, a pacemaker battery will last 10 years. This one is designed to last just 1 year. So again, you're still looking at going back to your provider's office each year to have this removed and a new one placed. But the nice thing is that a patient won't have to wear that transmitter device over their arm. You can imagine that there would be a little bit of a stigma when somebody sees this. Generally, these are implanted on the back of the arm, so it would still be noticeable. If you're wearing a short sleeve shirt, or if a woman is wearing a sleeveless dress, obviously that device will be there. Should this device be approved by the FDA, which I think it will be, I think we will see a significant increase in their share price, probably double. I don't know that this device, the 180-day device, is going to be a clear winner. There are other competitors in this market, which I didn't talk about, the Dexcom G6, and the Abbott has one called the Libre 14. This device has some advantages over the other two, one being the reimbursement from a CPT code rather than durable medical equipment, and the second being the convenience of having it implantable and only checking a blood glucose once per day. Of course, with those other two, they don't have to check blood glucose at all, but they need to be replaced every 10 days with the G6 and every 14 days with the Libre. That replacement, by the way, does not have to be in a doctor's office for those other two devices. A patient can learn to do that themselves. It doesn't require the same effort because the sensor is much smaller. Where I think this company may really take off is in 2023, assuming FDA clearance for that device. And we have seen that they have some good data showing up now for that 365-day device, because again, that's one procedure once a year and a glucometer finger stick check once per week, which I think patients will really, really appreciate. I went ahead and bought some of the stock yesterday. I think that the stock price again will probably double when they receive their FDA clearance. Of course, financially, the company is still losing money. They do have plenty of cash on hand. Back in July, they sold some more shares, which diluted the stock. And if this stock price does go up, I think there's a good chance that they're going to be selling more shares, which of course is going to dilute the stock again. If it was helpful, please give us a thumbs up. We'd love to have you as a subscriber. And until next time, enjoy your investing.